Hey everybody, it's Kendra. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you've been here before. My video today is a little bit different than I normally do. My video today is more health related and kind of lifestyle rather than beauty, although beauty does sort of tie into it a little bit. My video today is all about my recent journey giving up coffee and just kind of caffeine in general. Well, not completely giving up caffeine, but totally giving up coffee. So I gave up coffee more for like health reasons rather than beauty reasons, but I have been researching this a bit and it does seem that there were some good beauty reasons to give up coffee. So I want to kind of go through this, like why I gave it up, how I did it, and just kind of my whole thoughts on giving up coffee. Okay, so before I get into now, 2016, I need to rewind back to 2008. So I graduated from university in 2008. I studied business, and I drank a ton of coffee in school. I was in university for 5 years, and I was a crazy person. I was a bartender for 4 years. I bartended like 4 nights a week. I always had a full class load. I was involved. I was just crazy. I was super, super busy, and I drank a ton of coffee. Like I drank a ton of coffee, Diet Coke, Red Bull, all this stuff to stay awake, caffeine pills, and I was a really good student too. So yeah, I was really used to drinking coffee and hadn't really had any problems with it. Then in 2008, I went to Korea to teach English. So after 2 months of living in Korea, I ended up in the hospital on New Year's Eve. So New Year's Eve between 2008 and 2009, I was in the hospital. One of my sweet students took me to the hospital. Thank you, my dear friend MJ. And basically the doctor had said from coffee and spicy foods, my stomach lining was starting to wear away. So I didn't actually give up coffee that time. I gave up spicy foods. I stopped eating spicy food. Maybe I chilled out a little bit with coffee. I don't really remember. But I believe it was a year later in 2010. I think the beginning of 2010, I completely stopped drinking coffee because I figured, okay, this is what's really hurting my tummy. So detoxed, got off of coffee, and I was off of coffee for like a year and a half. Then I went back to Korea in 2011. And I would say towards the end of 2011, I started drinking it again because I was just super, super busy again. Same thing, ended up in the hospital, had to do an endoscopy in Korea. And let me tell you, in Korea, they don't knock you out for an endoscopy. So I had that stupid camera down into my tummy while I was awake. So it was horrible. I had these horrible stomach problems, never intestinal. It was always like acid reflux. I thought I had an ulcer. I don't know. So I stopped drinking coffee again, and I would only drink green tea. So I would say for about the last 4 years, I've only been drinking tea. I have not really touched coffee, maybe here and there, but I try to avoid coffee and spicy foods. But we moved to California a year and a half ago. So I would say this past September, life was starting to get crazy, and I just had a cup of coffee one day, and I really liked it. And then I had a cup the next day and really liked it. And oh my goodness, I was so alert and I was so productive and so focused. And it was amazing how I felt having had this coffee. So I just started, I started buying coffee. Every time I go to Target, I'd pick up a bag of coffee. This is the culprit. This is my absolute favorite coffee. I love it. This is Pete's coffee, and this is the Ethiopia Yurga Chef. It's dark, it's delicious. Oh my God, it smells so good. Oh, it just does amazing things to me. So anyway, I was drinking a liter French press of this every morning for about 4.5 months. Okay, then about 10 days ago, I woke up one morning and my tummy hurt so bad. Now, mind you, the night before I was at a friend's place and we had wine and we had like pasta and cheese and bread, and this is stuff I don't normally eat and I usually don't drink. I haven't really had much to drink for months. But the next day, oh my God, I hurt so much. I was in bed crying in pain because I had these horrible stomach pains. But I also had coffee that morning, as I always do. So when I have these stomach pains, I'm like, this is the exact same thing that happened in Korea. I have to get off of this. So the next day, I stopped drinking coffee. And let me tell you, it was hell. It was absolute hell. I had the worst headache, and I couldn't really do anything about it because if I take ibuprofen, which is usually what I take when I get a headache, I can't take ibuprofen because that's really hard on your tummy. Usually if I have like sort of a stronger headache, I will take Excedrin migraine, but this has caffeine in it. So so I couldn't take that. So I just felt like I had to really suffer through these few days of not having coffee. I did try to drink yerba mate. That helped a little bit, just to give me like a little bit of caffeine to sort of help with these withdrawals. I'd have green tea every day, but there is, like, green tea and coffee are not the same thing. They're absolutely not. And especially when you consider the amount of caffeine I was getting before when I was drinking my big honkin' liter of French press every day, that I would have to drink like 10 cups of green tea. So it was very, very, very difficult for about 4 or 5 days. Luckily, I didn't have much scheduled like last week because I couldn't function. It was horrible. If you are going to detox from coffee, please do not try to do it while you are working. Try to do it when you have a very, very calm period in life, because you're not going to want to do anything. You're not going to be able to focus. You cannot be productive. It's miserable. So, I mean, besides drinking yerba mate and also a little bit of green tea here and there, I just kind of suffered. It sucked. It was a horrible, horrible week. Any of my friends who saw me, they know exactly how I was. I wasn't really grumpy, I have to say, because I was very conscious of my feelings, and I just thought, okay, I cannot be mean to people because I feel so gross. And like I was very prepared for that. I was really expecting to be much grumpier than I actually was. So that was a bonus. And how about now? I feel so much better. I have to say, like, I don't have that like crazy sort of like, oh my gosh, let's be productive, but I feel like I can focus more, and I just kind of feel like everything is a little bit clearer. Also, I tend to be a very anxious person. So when I kind of look back from like a month ago, I remember I had 2 auditions in one day in San Francisco, and like the first one I had to have my hair all curled and makeup all perfect and like wearing kind of like wedding attire. I remember driving into the city, and I had my, 2 cup, like my big liter of coffee. And I just remember being like so anxious and so nervous for this audition, well, for these 2 auditions. And it shouldn't have been like that. Like I felt so stressed out and just like really crazy. But now when I look back, I'm like, I feel like a lot of that was sort of fueled by coffee and just my like overconsumption of it. Now I want to kind of tie this into the whole like beauty scheme of things, because this is a beauty channel. I've read a lot in the last couple of weeks about how coffee can really sort of trigger acne. Coffee, it sort of like speeds everything up, and it sort of like increases like your stress hormones. And for me, I totally get acne related to hormones and to stress. One thing I did notice while I was doing this coffee detox, oh my gosh, I felt like I was just like a range of volcanoes on my chin and around my mouth. I felt like I was just breaking out, and it was just like my skin was just like purging. And at first I couldn't figure out what it was, what I had done. And then I was like, oh, well, it's probably the coffee. So I am on about day 10 of not having any coffee. So my skin is starting to like chill out a little bit, but I'll definitely report back in more like a month, like a couple months out, to just sort of see if that really was contributing to some of these acne problems. I don't really eat wheat. I've heard that wheat is really bad for your skin, dairy, alcohol. Like I did the Whole30 in November. I did a whole video about it. And after I did that, I felt like my skin was really starting to clear up. So I can't really blame like those things for my skin. I mean, yes, I did like have like bread and cheese and pasta and wine like, 10 days ago, when all these troubles with my tummy started to happen. But in general, I don't eat that stuff. I really try to limit that stuff. So I can't really blame my skin on that stuff too much anymore. So for me, I'm kind of hoping it is like coffee related, because now that I'm not on coffee, hopefully I'll have clear skin. Also, my skin is just like super freaked out by stress, and I feel like this coffee situation was really just like increasing my stress levels, even though I didn't realize it. I sort of feel like now that I'm not drinking coffee, I feel much more zen, much more clear, like I can concentrate. So yeah, I'm very happy I did it, but oh my goodness, if you are detoxing from anything, whether it's like, like serious legit drugs, or coffee, or like any types of food, like if you're going on a cleanse and you are going through the withdrawals, I absolutely feel you. I absolutely support you because it is hell. I never thought that going off of coffee would be so horrible. You know, even my husband couldn't believe how affected I had been. You know, I had detoxed from coffee maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think it was nearly as bad then as it was this time, but he couldn't believe it. He's just like, you're not on like, you know, it's not like you're detoxing from like heroin or something. But caffeine is absolutely a drug, and I was so addicted to it, and I was drinking so much coffee. Would I recommend going like cold turkey like I did? Well, I didn't really have much of a choice because I had stomach problems. So that was sort of the main reason for me to go off of coffee. If you don't have tummy problems and you're looking to reduce your coffee, I would say just like slowly try to like wean yourself off of it, because doing what I did was absolutely miserable. So yeah, that's sort of my whole like coffee, beauty, health related sort of video. I hope this was kind of interesting. I'd really love to hear your experiences if you drink coffee, if you don't, if you've, you know, gotten off of it, what your thoughts are on the whole like coffee and food, you know, link with skin and acne and like these sorts of things. For me, I feel like my body is very sensitive to what I eat, and I definitely break out, but I'm still trying to like put my finger on exactly what is triggering any sort of skin problems. But I think like removing coffee was probably a pretty wise step in the right direction. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.